Hey guys, we're going to start on chapter 17 today, styling. Donna's here with me today, so we're going to kind of go back and forth. Pop in there, say hello, Donna. She's going to help me with this a little bit. I'm going to talk about the theory of this. She's going to walk around the camera. She may add in some techniques as well. You know, we all do it a little bit differently, so there's some techniques she will do. There's some things I find easier for me to do. But really the thing is, as long as the outcome is the outcome, we're good. So it's all about technique and stuff. So let me squeeze in here. I'm going to start on... this is a thing called a curl demo. So basically these are all wet sets. We've got rollers, we've got pin curls, and we've got finger waves. These are always done on wet hair, put under the dryer. Part of styling is going from wet to dry, hot to cold. That's what holds a set. So these are more vintage techniques. You'll say to me, but we don't do these anymore. Well, sometimes we do. The thing is, it's about the principle of it. It's about eye-hand coordination. It's about muscle memory. So it's about a lot of things. So no, I might not do a whole lot of pin curls in the salon, I'll be honest with you, but the principle of it is the principle of it. So this teaches you a lot of things. This teaches you the history of our industry, which I think is huge. You know, what goes around comes around. So anyways, this is what we're doing today. So I'm going to start at the top of the head. So we're going to start with the rollers. There are three parts of a roller. The first part is here. It is the base of the roller set. That's where the roller sits. The second part is where the hair comes off the head and around the roller, and that's known as the stem. And then the third part is the curl. Okay, so we've got those three parts of the roller set. There are four different rollers going on. We have on base, half base, off base, and indentation. Each of those do a different thing. Is this true only for rollers? No, absolutely not. This is true for a round brush, it's true for a curling iron. So we got to use our hot tools, and these principles are the principles. Basically, what the difference is in the three are the elevation. Funny how we just talked about that in hair cutting. It's about the elevation of the hair when we're talking about these different things. If I hold my hair directly up at 90 from the head, I would get half base. So basically our first one we're going to do is on base. So I want to take the roller 45 degrees forward to 90 degrees, okay? For the half base, I'm going to go directly up at 90. And basically on base, let me back up. On base will create the most volume in the hairstyle. So if you want a lot of volume, especially in this crown area, on base is great. Half base gets you less volume. Off base creates less volume. Indentation, so far all the rollers have been on this side of the section, and you'll see that in a minute when we do it. This side, the roller is on the top of the section. It normally ends up on the hairstyle around the perimeter to flip the hair up. This gives you the hairstyles from the old TV shows like Bewitched. That girl, it creates a flip. Not always used on the top of the head because it throws the hair forwards and gives you the flock of seagulls from the 80s, okay? Google all that and you'll see it. So basically that is the principle or the talking about of the rollers. So what I'm going to do is I have shampooed my guest. I would say honestly for our roller set guests, I do not use conditioner on them. If you've got too much conditioner in their hair and it's too soft, if we back comb it, we don't have the gription we need. So a lot of our guests will not want a conditioner. I had actually one guest that threatened me that she would make me shampoo it out if I dare put conditioner in her hair. So that's how strongly some of these ladies feel. Also, we have a thing known as setting lotion. It looks blue. Okay, it could look like your disinfectant. That's why we label our bottles setting lotion versus EPA or disinfectant, because I don't want to spray disinfectant on her hair. But it's got a light blue cast, and basically it's like liquid hairspray. So it really gives you some gription, gives you some hold. You mix it dilute it with water. Needless to say, the less dilution, the stronger it is. So I brought my customer back from the shampoo bowl, and her hair is damp, of course, and I will spray setting lotion through her hair. So this will also, in this curl demo, give me some gription. So I'm gonna take this and go back. I'm gonna do a row. You'll notice on your rollers, there's these little bumps right here. And you can hear my fingernail on them, right? So if you're driving along the highway and you hit the little bumps on the edge of the road, your car's gonna go off the edge, right? If you go onto the bumps or anything like, or past the bumps, what's gonna happen is your hair is gonna fall off the roller and then you won't get a strong hold. So we wanna stay inside the bumpers. So we're somewhere in between that little hole and right there. That's my section. So basically I wanna create a rectangular base. It's based on that length. I'm gonna flip the roller over and that creates my width. So I get a rectangle and I want a really clean parting and all that good stuff, okay? So I'm gonna take it on her nose, come on up, and basically I'm parting a mohawk section down her head. And I may replace that each time I set my roller in, but I've got this little mohawk. So it's inside my bumper mark. I'm gonna take my roller. Deborah has this real strange thing that most people don't have. She's got a little widow's peak. So when we're dealing with Deborah, count that little widow's peak in. So I'm gonna put it right there at the widow's peak, and I'm gonna part out a section to make my little rectangle. There we go. And I want a real clean parting. And you can check that. There we go. You can check that by taking the section, pulling it over, sitting your roller on it to see if it's correct. If it's too big, you won't get the correct elevation. If it's too small, you won't get the correct elevation. Notice a lot of times when I'm doing this also, I'm gonna do my on base first, I comb on both sides of my section. This gets all the grains of the hair going the same direction. That way you don't have a wobble in there or something like that. Also, I don't get tangles, all that. So I'm gonna turn my doll around where you can see, and I can, notice I've got a rat tail comb. This is my favorite. I don't love an all-purpose comb for this. Also, if I ever wanna see what my angle is to the head shape, if I'm 90 degrees, I put the flat of my comb on her head. Wherever it is, it's at 90 degrees. So if I want on base, I want to go 45 degrees below that 90. So there's 90 to that head shape, so I've got to go down. Now, if she's dried out because I've sat here talking so much, I will hit her with water or a little bit more setting lotion. I'm going to use these rollers for this because I'm gonna put them here, my sections, this way I don't go so far back on the head because I got a finger wave to put in here. So I usually use my teal rollers. I also use what's known as a hideaway clip to clip these. Basically, if it's hideaway, it hides inside the roller. There's nothing to get tangled when I go do this side part. So these are hideaway clips. Those are your best friends. The other ones stick out too far, okay? Will the other ones work in the salon? Yes, but they will get tangled, I promise. So I like my hideaways. I'm combing on each side of my section. I tend to start in the middle of my section and drag my roller down. This way the ends go around the edge, and I'm gonna roll. If I'm getting the tension too loose, I will rock and roll. I'm doing a side to side action. And here is the biggest thing I see a lot of times. I wanna make sure my clip is directly on the scalp. I don't want it on here, I don't want it here, I don't want it here. I want it directly on the scalp so it holds in place, okay? So that's really important. If not, you're gonna lose your tension and you're gonna lose your set. For state board, for testing, only use one clip. In the salon, there are times I use 2 clips. But for testing and everything like that, be sure to use 1 clip. So now I'm gonna do half base. Again, I'm gonna make sure my section is the correct length. Let me turn this around, can you see? So, correct length, correct width. So I'm gonna double check that my length is correct. And I wanna make sure my width is correct. I have got the sniffles all of a sudden. Welcome to Texas Allergies. Yes. My subsection is too small. It's too narrow. If I do that, I won't get the correct base. Also, let me back up 2 seconds. When we say on base, that means the roller sits directly on the rectangle. So the edge of my roller is sitting right there. The front of my roller is sitting right there. That's what makes when we say on base, half base, and off base. So that would say when I do half base, my roller is gonna end up sitting halfway on the base and halfway off the base. Look and see how the hair lifts. That C shaping lifts more. That's why I get so much more volume when I do this, okay? 90 degrees this time. So I'm 90 degrees to the head shape. And this is really important when we do perms, things like that, because we're gonna do half base. Make sure that you're holding the roller at 90 to where you are on the head shape. So if I'm holding the hair up like this, I'm not doing on base at the occipital. So watch where you are on your head shape to get half base, on base, and all that good stuff. And that's not very clean right there, so I'm gonna clean that up. Come on, little guy. There we go. Moisture is your friend, especially on the ends. Detangling is essential, both sides of the hair. And this is true on cutting too. If I'm working on my parting when I'm cutting, I will comb on both sides so all the grain of the hair is going in one way. Whoop, sorry, Deborah. Thank you, Donna. Thank God. Up at 90. I'm putting it in the middle of the section, dragging it down. That gives me more tension. Also, that laps the hair over, and roll, roll, roll if we need to rock and roll on the longer hair. We can. There we go. Now, notice the base is right in the middle and it's halfway off. Again, pinning to the scalp, not to the sides of the roller. This gives you better control and gets it holding in place. There we go. Section, length and width need to mirror my section up. Now this one needs to come back at 45. Look how much more this hair has to travel back, giving you a flatter effect, but still leaving curl on the end. Making sure your section is the correct size, holding it back, combing on both sides, middle of section. There we go, and notice now, gang, the edge of the roller is at the edge of my base. Look how far that travels. Flat, 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 flat. If you have a doll at home, if you have rollers at home, if you have any of this at home, please practice this. Check it out. The more you do it. Can I tell you the first time I did this, my instructor walked up to me and was like, "Child, we have got some work to do." So do not feel bad if they're hanging on by a thread the first time. It is time, time, and time. The more you do it, the better it gets. Now we've got our indentation roller. This creates an indent in the hairstyle so the hair comes in and flips up. So far, one roller left. We've been putting all the rollers on this side of the section. So on this side, I'm going to put it on top of the section. Combing it straight, getting all the tangles out. And I'm kind of just it's going to be a very flat event. So I'm just going to pull it straight back to me, laying the roller on top of the section, and rolling it forward with tension. Here's the one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to knock into this last roller and put it out of place because it buckles the hair up. So watch that you don't slam this roller into this roller. Roll it up, but do not take that roller out of position when you're doing this for a grading experience, okay?
A little note on that one.
Yeah, add that to, come on around, Donna.
Okay.
Add that in. Let Donna add. She teaches and grades us a lot, so that's why we're doing this in tandem.
Once you come out onto the clinic floor, I'll be the one grading this when you do this particular procedure on week 3 or 4, whatever it is. I don't remember what week it is anymore because I don't even know what day it is. And I think that's happening to everyone right now. But with the indentation roller, it is usually an off base or half off base roller. It'll never be an on base roller. Okay, so there's a little hint for you.
Yeah, I pulled it straight out back so it's almost flat to this section of the head. So I had like no elevation to that point of the head is what she's saying. And when Donna comes around and grades this, she's looking for difference. If every one of these rollers looks the same, that means they're not on base, half base, off base, and indentation. Right. So there should be a distinct difference. And this is what we're talking about for testing, things like that. You'll see old school stylists take bigger sections and do different stuff. But we got to crawl before we run. So this is the crawling part, but you should be able to see a definite difference. Donna, do
Yes.
you want to add anything that
Um,
I may
if-
have left off?
Yeah, if all of your rollers are touching, you're wrong, okay? You'll see that there is space in between each of these rollers. And that's because they have different bases and different elevation of the hair when rolling. And if they're all touching, then you've used all the same type of elevation. So take a look at your work when you're finished and determine, is the back of my roller on my off face at the bottom of my subsection? Is the center of my roller at my bottom parting for the bottom of my subsection for my half base roller? And is my roller sitting completely on top of its base, the subsection of hair that you took? Is it sitting directly on top? If it is, then you're good to go. If it's not, then it's wrong. There's no gray area there. It either is or it isn't. Nice and black and white. And these are the basic curls. This is you doing a demonstration of the basic ways that we curl hair. We curl it on base, half base, off base, and an indentation type of a curl. And we need to know that you know how to do that.
Right.
So,
And also, guys, I'm going to put this in a dryer. So when we do the debrief on this class, I'll show you what these look like once they're dried and combed out. So maybe that will be helpful to see your total outcome. Let me ask you a question, Donna.
Yes.
For grading, should we always do it in this order on half off indentation? Does that matter?
no, it really doesn't matter, but it's easiest to do it this way. And it's easiest to keep it straight in your head to be able to memorize what the different types of elevations and the different bases are.
Perfect. So we're going to take a break and then we'll do some pin curls, okay? Boop. And we're back. So let's talk about some pin curls. If you're wondering where I am in the textbook, and we're going to do a theory chapter on this as well, but I just wanted to show this to you. You guys are usually, a lot of times, a lot of you guys and most stylists are visual learners. We are tactile learners. Sitting around and reading the textbook isn't our go-to. But basically, if you are on the textbook, I'm on page 446 of chapter 17, and we're going to talk about pin curls. There are different pin curls. There are flat pin curls. There are stand-up pin curls. Basically, before we had a roller, this is what you had to do to curl the hair. So rollers didn't come along till later. So we're kind of going back in history. You will see a lot of pin curls in the 30s. Google Jean Harlow, all those waves, all those things in the old black and white movies. Those were set with pin curls. There are photographs of Marilyn Monroe sitting with stand-up pin curls for some of her hairstyles. So Google that, check out your history. So again, there are three parts to a pin curl. There is the base, that's the stationary part that sits on the head. There are square pin curls, there's arch, there's rectangular, there are different shapes. I'm gonna do a square today because the circle, which is the third part of the pin curl, is almost like a quarter, okay? So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna sit the quarter on the square at different positions. So don't always think you have to use square bases. We're just doing this today where you can see this. So you can do triangular bases, rectangular, all that. Also, we are doing a flat pin curl. So this is flat to the head. We are also doing today an open pin curl. So it looks like a donut, and that's going to be helpful to see where we are on the base. So we got the base as the foundation. The stem is the first hair that's coming off the head. So if I've got my base, and let me steal my comb, which I left across the room. So here's a note to student teachers. have your tools handy because it does help when you're doing this. That's the second time I've done that. Did you notice the other day I accidentally left my clips for a haircut in the other room? So for student teachers doing videos, be prepared. So if this is my square base, the hair right here, this hair up in this top right quadrant is my stem. That's going to be important when we talk about pinning. Also, when we say no stem, half stem, and full stem, how much of the stem are we seeing? That's why that word's really, really important. And then the last part of the pin curl is the actual curl itself. So that's the three parts. So when I talk about, Donna, did you want to jump in?
Yes, I did.
Jump in.
When we talked about the rollers, he told you that we had the base, the stem, which is this, and the circle, which is the roller, the hair that's wound around the roller. A pin curl is the same thing. It's just a smaller subsection, and you're rolling it with your fingers and pinning it. It's to use it without the roller. We use them a lot. It's not always just doing pin curls were all old school. We use pin curls today. When I curl my hair with a curling iron, I will then at nighttime, when I go to sleep, I will take my hair and I'll take a rectangular section of hair, like so, and I'm going to wind it around, like so, and I'm going to pin it, and that's how I'm going to go to bed, in pin curls. And sometimes I put a bonnet over top of it if I don't want it to move, and I've got like maybe something big happening in the morning, so it keeps it nice and soft. So, and a lot of times on your textured hair clients that have highly textured hair and they just got a silk press, they need to set their hair in pin curls when they go to bed. So you need to know how to do a pin curl. It's not all old school stuff, okay? This is today. This is today. So don't discard it as, I'm never gonna use that stuff. That's old school. Just, give me my blow dryer and curling iron, my flat iron, and I'm good to go, okay? Throw away your rollers and pin curls. No. Pin curls are very important today, okay?
Cool. So let's talk about that no stem, half stem, and full stem. What we're talking about, guys, so I've got my square base. If I have a no stem pin curl, that means my quarter is sitting right directly on the square. I don't see the stem, versus meaning no stem. If I'm on a half stem, there's my square base. Now my quarter is going to be half on, half off. And here's what's really important too. It sits below the square, not behind the square. So basically my quarter is halfway. So if I have an open center pin curl, if you think of this as a donut, I will see the edge of my base through the peekaboo hole. I will see half of my stem. And then this will give me my strongest wave, tightest curl, getting looser. And then when I've got full stem, which gives me the most mobility in the hair. Did you notice when Donna pinned her hair? This is what she does. She does it full because she wants movement. She doesn't want a tight wave or anything like that. She wants the curl with movement. There's my square. Now my circle sits outside, or my quarter sits outside the square, and that shows all of my stem. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we talk about no stem, half stem, and then full stem. So I'm seeing all of it. Okay. I will tell you this honest engineer. I am not the best at doing this. This takes some eye-hand coordination, but we'll give it a go. How's that sound? If I'm struggling, I'll even have Donna jump in here.
I'd be happy to.
Let me give it a go. So I've got my square base here. For the test, I usually leave the hairline out. Obviously, I cannot do that for a client. So I have my square base. There he is. I'm going to take the hair, clean it up. I'm rolling this curl towards the face. So that would mean I am going counterclockwise. If a great way to remember this for this test, curls go forward, pins go back. Remember, our pins are going to go parallel with the stem. So I'm going to hold this section back. It's definitely not wet enough. This piece of hair that I'm holding is known as a shaping. This action I'm doing is called ribboning, okay? Those are terms you're gonna see in your textbook. These are terms to sound professional. I'm gonna take my little tail and put it in back of the section. So I'm pinching it with my thumb and I am rolling. Notice I have not put my comb down, and I want to make sure my tail stays back there so I can use my tail of my comb. And I'm rolling, and I lost it. Let me try a little bit of setting lotion because sometimes that will give me some gription. Okay, ribboning. Get the tangle out of the ends. Yeah, having some liquid on this does not hurt. I'm loose. And keeping your comb in your hand is essential. There we go, because I kind of tucked it there. Rolling. I've got it flat on its base. This is when I want to use my pin curl clips. These are single prong clips. They don't get tangled in there. I'm going parallel with the stem, and it's kind of I'm going to encapsulate all of it and then pin it in back. So basically, I did not go all the way across the curl because I don't want to leave a crease on it. If I pin it this way, I'm going to leave a crease. So, you know, with a flat iron or curling iron, how you kind of leave a line of demarcation with your iron, if you're not careful, this will do exactly the same thing. Notice we do not see the stem because the circle is laying on the square. So what I'm going to do, since I did not do that the best in the world, to be truthfully honest with you, I'm going to swap out with Donna and put her on pressure here. And I'm going to keep my little section for her. And I want you to see Donna do it because maybe you'll see something in her technique, because I will tell you mine wasn't perfect there. So we're going to swap out. There we go.
Hello. So the key to a good pin curl is tension. Keeping tension on your stem. When you take your subsection, ribbing your hair, and create your circle. And then keeping tension on your stem is what makes the difference. And if you see your tail coming up on top of the curl, keep it tucked under. Just poke it right on back through. And roll it right on up there. And there she sits, right on top of her base. Okay? And you'll pin it. There we go. The one thing you don't want to do is stick that pin in your mouth. I often see this, so that you can get a grip on the little prongs there.
Nasty.
See that? You don't stick your pins in your mouth, okay? That's very, very unsanitary.
You never know where those pins have been, okay?
Yeah. But that's a common thing that we see. We see people putting the pins in their mouth, the bobby pins in the mouth, the clips in their mouth. Don't do that. Figure out how to manipulate your comb so you can keep your comb in your hand and still hold the hair and pin open up your clip and pin it properly.
Notice how, Donna, it went over and under. That's really
Yes.
important also. So, and notice the direction of the clip.
Yes, your clip is always going to be like this, okay? That's
Diagonal back,
yeah.
as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Donna, you want to do the half one?
Sure.
Or, yeah.
So then moving on to your half stem, notice that your rollers correspond to your pin curls. You've got on base, you've got no stem. Half base, half stem. Off base, full stem. Same difference. It's the same thing. Pin curls have stems and rollers have bases. I mean, they all have bases, but when trying to describe them, you talk about your pin curls being half stem, full stem, and no stem. So a half stem means it's going to sit halfway on its base. Okay. I'm trying to get into position here.
Also, these are known as carved curls for a dictionary or vocabulary word. These are carved curls. They look like a sculpture in a museum because they're flat to the head, so that's why they are called carved curls. There's also stand-up curls, cascade curls, barrel curls, but these are carved. And I'm distracting Miss Donna.
No, no, not at all.
So I just want to get a little vocabulary in there because we're going to be covering that as well.
Not used to working with such long hair.
Ah, that's true.
There we go. Come around there. There we go. And keeping that end tucked under and rolling it right on up. That's where I keep losing it, right there.
Guys, here's a hint to do them the size of a quarter or $50. If you're doing them like a dime or a penny, you're going to be killing yourselves.
So my half stem is going to sit just like so that I can clearly see the bottom parting of the subsection. Can you see that in there? The bottom part of that subsection through that circle. Ta-da. And there's the bottom of the subsection right there. Then your full stem is going to sit right there. It helps if you take the very bottom corner of your base and just a hair or two, and then pin right there so that the curl sits right below the base. Okay? Now, an off base or a full stem pin curl can also sit here. But for testing purposes, you want to bring the top of your circle to the bottom of your base. Okay? There we go.
Cool. So here's what now you can put these in any order. Make sure you're not going too far back on the head when you're doing this. So I've got my no stem here, half, and full stem. On the opposite side, we're gonna go the opposite direction. So remember, the curls are gonna go towards the face. We have the no, half, and full on this side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull it back this way and roll it forward on this side of the doll. Okie dokie? So this would now be a clockwise pin curl.
For right-handers, this is a harder side to do.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the easy side for the left-handers.
Yes, ma'am. And you will see the struggle is real.
Yes.
So if I were doing this as a real thing, what's really cool about this is if I take all the curls and head one direction on one roll, come back this way in the next row, so I'm alternating my directions, I will get a really cool finger wave.
Yes.
So that's how they got a lot of those styles.
Because if you roll it this way, and then the one below it is this way, and then the one below that one is this way, you've got your S shaping. And there you can see the undulation of the wave. I don't know if you can see that because I think Deborah's head is in the way, but. Oh, very good, Mr. Larry. Very good. Look at that.
So I got my little pokey tail out. I want to stick him in. If not, I'm going to have a little stick 'em up 'em, and I'm sure that's not a professional term, but I will have a stick 'em up 'em. And I don't want to stick 'em up 'em. So there we go. So again, my circle sits directly on the base. I cannot see the stem. No stem. Square. So remember, this is kind of like a donut. So I want to see, this is the edge of my base. So I want to see this through my donut. Again, combing on each side. See how the grain of the hair is all going in the same direction. There's not one this way, or that way. So
and always make sure that you're holding it at a 45-degree angle. That it's not a back stem. It's a flat or a back stem pin curl, but a flat-based pin curl. And the only way to keep that base nice and flat is at 45 degrees. There you go.
Losing my tension, and I got it back. There we go. See my base? See my base right there? There's a little thing, stick 'em up 'em. And again, I am pinning diagonal back, over, under. A lot of times where I don't get too far back to get caught up in my finger wave, which we're going to do next, I will drop down one so it will look like little descending stairs on the doll. Does it matter for testing? No. You can place it anywhere you want. May I suggest not putting the full stem on a hairline? It will kick your high knee. And it'll be very, very difficult to pin.
Well, you can't pin it to her neck.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of saying, like, don't put that on the hairline, okay? Because it's not going to work. So there's the edge of my base is right thars, and the edge of my circle is now going to land there, making sure it's not going too far back. And is my head in the way? There we go. See, student teachers, I would love to challenge y'all to come up here and do some of these video classes. It's the wave of the future. So if you student teachers are watching, here's the challenge. And Donna, myself, Jennifer, Melissa, we will coach you. We will help you. If you've noticed, all my videos are for phase 1, but I'm trying to include the seniors and the student teachers. So this isn't just for phase 1 class, okay? So anybody can watch this. And there is my second set of Pin Girls. Okay, and we're back. So we're at the final stage. We are doing finger waves. Here's the deal. We want a 4-inch finger wave. We want a fingers width between them. That's our goals. And anybody that says, oh, we don't do this anymore. Well, let me tell you what, there's 2 customers in Temple at our school that we do finger waves on every Friday. So this is not unheard of. Okay, here's a couple ideas. You know how bougie I am. So the Chanel logo looks somewhat like this. So there's Chanel. So we're gonna use the Chanel concept on this. Basically, I am creating a letter C. I'm creating a C shape. There's an open side of the C and a closed side of the C. So the mouth is the open side like Pac-Man. Look that one up too. Basically, we're continuing the bottom of the C in one direction. On our next row, we will have started a new C shaping, and we are going to follow the C there. I have found if you start at the open side of the C, you don't drag this huge honking section. Basically, what I'm going to do in this diagram is we're going to create our C shaping. Our open side will be here to the right. So we are going to take about 1 inch of hair. We are going to drag it to the right. We're going to have our finger here to protect it to start off with. So we're going to protect, drag, pinch, and then comb it into the opposite C shaping. Protect, bring the next section into the first section. And I'm only talking about 1 inch. I'm not talking about dragging 3 inches of hair around. Bringing that together, pinching. I like to, use that analogy of clips. I like to pinch with my middle fingers. I don't pinch with my thumb. That doesn't get me a lot of effect. Again, bringing the next section, combing back. Bringing the next section, combing back. Now my open end is over here. So I am now going to drag to the left, drag to the left, drag to the left, drag to the left. Each time I've combed it back, and then we're going to do the same thing again. What we don't want is what's known as a scrunch, where it lifts way off the head. That's fine for in the salon, but for this, let's just keep a ridge, okay? Let's now look at it in the real life. Everybody does this a little differently. So I'm gonna do my version, Donna's gonna do her version, all that. I like my all-purpose comb for this. I like the wide teeth for this. This is my personal preference. So instead of getting a brush, I'm gonna load this up and I'm gonna put gel on girlfriend's hair. Notice I'm not dragging it all the way down. It's gonna end there anyways. And I'm gonna start a gentle C shaping. That doesn't mean it's gonna be just like really cray-cray or anything. It's just a gentle sweeping action to the right. I'm gonna place my finger. I like my index finger. I'm gonna put, they're called finger waves because the comb goes directly at the bottom of my finger. I'm going to drag. I lift up just a little bit. See the ridge? Can you see the ridge? I'm gonna pinch between the comb. That's my technique. Donna, on the other hand, will protect, drag. She will lay her comb flat and she will pinch that section. Notice I've combed my C shaping in the opposite direction for the second row. instead of just lifting my fingers off, I'm going to put my comb under there where my finger is, roll off. There's my first ridge. I want to protect my previous ridge and my new ridge, taking about an inch of hair, drag one into the other. I lift up just gently. Like I said, I pinch between the comb, but again, I don't want to get a scrunch, or you can lay your comb flat, and she's going to do her version. There's number 2. Again, protecting my previous, drag. And see, I didn't drag it all the way across the hair. I just placed it in with my other and protecting my work. There we go. There's my first ridge. I have combed my hair off this way. Now my open C is right here. So here's the second part of Chanel. And again, protect. This is the harder for us righties. Drag, pinch, and comb in your opposite direction. And if I need a little bit more product, which I believe I do, protecting my previous, drag. See how I'm using my fingers like clips? They used to have clips that clipped the hair when they did this in old school days. They came in a package of metal clips, and they would clip them together to hold them. Come on, girl. Don't you fight me. Like I said, this is the more challenging row. Coming over, protecting. Dragging into that. See, I didn't drag very far. I dragged it into the previous. Pinch and come on back. Look at there, finger between each. Last, I'm going to bring this last piece of hair into here. See why I didn't put my pin curl there? Because I will drag my pin curl out if I'm not careful for doing this for my practical exam. Okay. Not feeling. The reason I'm getting you up high, also, it is very difficult to do this in the nape. So that's why I use the other rollers, the teal or the tan rollers, versus the red rollers. And see, how, there's my C shaping. Come on, girl. C shaping, C shaping. So which side is the open side of my C shaping now? It's originally what we started with. So again, protect, drag about an inch of hair, pinch, and comb back. Taking another piece, pulling it into that section, pinching. See how all the hair, now this is something I saw in a video the other day talking about the grains of the hair. See how the grain is just like wood? There we go. Oop. I'm trying to stay out of Miss Donna's way instead of standing right in front of the section. And that makes it
challenging.
Yes, but that's okay. Student teachers know this. Also, too, if you're videoing this, grab a partner. That always helps. Believe me, on this one, it certainly helps. There's my finger wave. In the old days where we have all this hair down here, they would take this and put it into a pin curl, and it would become a ridge wave. So anytime you put a pin curl behind a ridge, it is now called a ridge wave. If you look at those vintage hairstyles, you got the wave and then tons of curl below this. I watched a movie the other night, Water for Elephants, and she had finger waves plus a ton of curls around the perimeter. And that's the way they created that hairstyle for Reese Witherspoon. So there is your basic finger wave. Finger between each. You will see on your comb, you have a measuring device, definitely 4 inches wide. Okie dokie. Donna, you want to swap places and do your version?
Sure.
Cool. Hang on, let me wipe the gel off my hands. There we go. Trading places.
Okay. I make my C shaping just a tad bit differently. See that? I yanked out the hair in the roller. Move that down there. And I like to drag the gel all the way through.
And neither one of us are being skimpy on the gel, if you didn't notice.
To do one that's centered in the back of the head, your ridge is going to start at a 45-degree angle off the back of this roller here, okay? So you're going to start right about here, and you want to start up pretty high. I'm just going to pin that guy up there. Just out of my way so I don't knock him over. I get a little bit wild with my combing. Now, I use my knuckles as a guide. I am going to start right here, place my finger here at that 45-degree, and I'm going to shift the hair right there from my knuckle up to almost to the next knuckle, from the second knuckle to the first knuckle. Shift, lift, lay flat, grip, comb back opposite. And you see how my fingers are cupping the head, and then I roll my finger off. And if that pops up, just mash it back down with your tool. The thing about doing finger waves is that once you realize that you can create a style, create a design with just your finger and a comb, then you'll know, you'll have that deep knowing that you can do anything you can. Anything you set your mind to, you can do. This is the very foundation of hairdressing. Being able to mold the hair with just your fingers and a comb. Now, what I like to do, I keep the comb right up against my finger here. Okay? Now I'm going to go from in front of my knuckle to behind my knuckle to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to shift to the left, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip this one, and comb only the hair that I'm holding on to back opposite. And then I'm going to roll my finger off backwards and keep that hair molded with my tool by mashing it down. Now I'm going to grip again up here and place my comb here in front of my knuckle. And I'm a little over too far. Here we go. And I'm going to, right up against my finger now, shift, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip the new one, and comb back only what my fingers are holding on to. Because if I put my finger over here, I'm going to pull that out and roll my finger off backwards. So I'm going to grip and shift, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip the new one, and comb back opposite. And then finally right here, and right up against my finger, that's what keeps your ridge nice and straight. Shift, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip the new one, comb back opposite. And now we're back to the other direction. And I go from behind my knuckle to in front of my knuckle. Shift, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip the new one, and comb only that hair back opposite. Grip the previous ridge, right up against my finger, shift, lift, lay flat, grip, and if I need to, get that hair in line again. You are in charge of the hair. You have control of the hair. You have to know that you are in control. It's not her hair wouldn't do that. No, hair will do what you tell it to do. You just need to know how to tell it. And that's what we're learning here. We're shifting, we're lifting, we're laying flat, rolling off, gripping, combing backwards. The opposite direction. Combing the opposite direction that you slid or shifted. And again, you see how my hand is cupping the head. Grab that chunk of hair there and right up against my finger, shift into the other one, lift, lay flat, grip, comb back opposite. When you're doing this for your practical exams that we do from week to week, we do a different set. What we'll be looking for is, this is really low for me. And you're even taller, Mr. Larry. How did you do that? Okay.
Difficultly.
So you want 4 inches wide on your ridges. You see how they're all 4 inches wide. If I do it right up against my finger, and this is the magic of finger waves. They are magic because no matter what size your finger is, if you keep that comb up against your finger when you're shifting that hair, it will always be 1 inch. It'll always be 1 inch. Doesn't matter. Show me your finger. Just put your finger there. See the difference in his finger and my finger? Okay? He's got a larger finger than I do. Okay? But our waves are the same. 1 inch between ridges. You can see here's a little 1 on the comb. 1 inch between ridges.
May I also say, if you don't go right at your fingers and go down, they slowly creep open because gravity's happening.
Yep.
So if you don't do it at your finger, they're going to be
Gravity.
3 and 4 inch waves because gravity's going to pull them apart. So start out small because they're going to end up.
These spaces that you're seeing here is because there was not quite enough gel right there. So if I did this row again, putting more gel in there.
So let me ask you a question, Miss Donna, while I got you here. So if you were doing this in the salon, would you be using a foaming mousse that's been created for this, or would you still be doing gel?
I'd probably be using a foaming mousse, or a foaming type of a setting lotion, whether it be mousse or a lotion. There's it. It depends on the final result, I think. If I want a hard, shiny appearance, I'll use gel. If I want a softer appearance, I'll use foam. Okay, so again, using the wide end of the comb. See if I can get my angle on
Why don't
this.
we elevate the stand?
What an idea.
Okay, you turn the dial. So here's the principle of your chair goes up and down, ladies and gentlemen. So if you've got a client in your chair and you're struggling, pump her up.
Pump it up, yeah, pump it up. Okay, so you notice that I always grip the previous ridge. Okay, so here I am, here right behind my knuckle, shift, lift, lay flat, roll off of there, grip the new one, and comb that hair back opposite. And roll my finger off. And then again, shift, lift, lay flat, grip, comb back opposite. And roll my finger off. You see, I'm in charge of the hair. Now, Mr. Larry, with the way that he does it, he takes his comb along there to define that ridge a little bit more. And that's perfectly fine to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You see how I corrected that just a little bit? Again, I'm in charge of what the hair is going to do. I'm in charge of the final look. And again, what also helps is keep your elbow up in the air. Elbow up, which is an uncomfortable position. You don't want to do this all day long because keeping your elbow above your shoulders is very bad ergonomics. There we go. And my final little chunk of hair right up against my finger. Shift, lift, lay flat, grip, comb back opposite. Now, if I wanted to, I would continue down the head in that way, or I would drop my all-purpose comb, pick up my rat tail. Since this part of the head is harder to do, remember when we were talking about pin curls, going this way, that way, and the other way? Well, we're doing the same thing using just our fingers and a comb. And here we go. And there is our, let's go there. And clip.
So
And
you're
then-
starting from the open end of the C on the
Yes.
opposite side, just like we did with the wave.
And again, now I'm going to lift up a little bit of hair here. You see how I'm keeping it in position? And I'm going to ribbon that hair. Create my circle. And set it down just below that ridge. There we go. You don't want to go down here and take this whole big hunk of hair here. Just right there, keeping your 1 inch between ridges line. That's a little bit big. You want a 1 inch diameter circle because we want to keep it 1 inch between ridges. Again, you see I'm putting these all on their base. I got that upside down. There we go. These are hard to grip when your hands are full of gel. There we go. And you would continue on in that way, and now we would come back the opposite direction. That's a little too much. There we go. Now, since I'm not pulling on, I can now get some tension on this, and I'm going to roll it up this way. Having my 1 inch diameter. Lost the tension there. You see how I just took charge of that curl? It started to drop on me, so I stopped what I was doing and corrected it. I'm in charge of the hair. The hair's not in charge of the final result. You can't just say, well, the pin dropped. Well, then fix it. And here we go. And
Also, if
There
you
we go.
plan to do theater, editorial work, anything like that, these are not things out of the realm of possibilities that you might be doing, especially for theater, film. I mean, there is a school in London that teaches you how to do this for wigs. That still are doing wigs for stuff you will see on PBS. So this is not something, if you want to do film, if you want to do fashion work, if you want to do something other, this is key.
you want to follow some good wig makers. Stephen Austin does a lot of wigs, and he does it for what's that show? Drag something?
Drag Race?
Drag Queens?
Yeah, Drag Race.
Okay. He's the designer for them. You can follow him online.
Bobby Pins is another guy that does Broadway wigs.
Okay. and Sifet, and just about all the work they do is just in wigs. They don't have, their customers are wig customers. Ask Miss Mimi about Sifet's wigs. She's waiting to be able to get one of his.
Ooh, there we got some ridge waves.
We're going to leave this to dry, and he's going to show you what that would look like combed out
Yeah, that's gonna be
in
really
that
cool.
area. Okay, so I hope that helps you learn a little bit something else about the finger waves. Remember, the principles are, you're going to lay your finger across there. Your finger is your guide for your ridge. So of course your elbow in the direction that the opposite direction that you're going. That if you're moving across the head this way to the left, then your left elbow is going to be up in the air. If you're moving across the head to the right, then this elbow is going to be up in the air. And that will keep your line straight. Otherwise, you have a tendency to end up with your finger wave being all shifted. Okay? Now, this is only a piece of a finger wave. This is just to show that you know how to do one. Usually when someone has finger waves done, it's done on the entire head.
Let me ask one question, Miss Donna.
Yes.
She and I both started on this side with the open end of the C. Donna, tell them, would you start on the closed end of the C, and pros and cons of that?
No, I wouldn't start on the, well, if I was left-handed, I would start on this end, but I would have a different C. You always start at the open end.
Okay.
Always at the open end.
Okay, cool.
Left-handers I want to be able to dry that. So,
I would probably, as a left-hander, I would start
Yeah.
my C shaping in the opposite direction.
Yes, I would do a
That's the way I
backward
teach
C.
that.
I would do a backward C and then shift across the head this way to the left.
So lefties, you would be
Yeah.
doing our second row,
So
basically.
my right hand would be holding my comb is in my left hand, and I would be shifting this way. Whoa. This way. Okay? So it's the same principle. You're just using the opposite hand. Where
Yay,
are we?
where are we?
Whoa. Oh,
Yeah.
yep, that's the other classroom.
Okay.
Selfies.
Anyways, thank you for watching our class. Say thank you, Miss Donna.
Thank you.
And we will see you next week with some new things. I'll work with her on her curl demo next week. So,
Okay.
And I've got another haircut for you guys. So, bye.